Claim your free AirPods today by clicking the first link in the description down below.
r/AskReddit. What's the smartest thing you've heard come out of a child's mouth? My 4-year-old daughter to her friend when they were fighting over Lego. Hudson. We need to compromise. What's a compromise? It's when we fix our problem but no one is happy. That child speaks the truth. Ahaha. Kid's got a point. I don't know so many things. But I'd like to. Man. Most adults could benefit from that attitude. Why do I need to learn this? It's used as a tool in the production of every man-made thing you have ever seen. Yeah. But why do I need this? I just realized you can't caps lock I to emphasize it. I was doing craft stuff with my 6-year-old daughter. The terms art and craft were being used interchangeably. So I took the opportunity to ask a 6-year-old, what is the difference between art and craft? Her response, glue. Arts and crafts is a nice way of saying art, and hitty art Demetri Martin. Didn't he also say that glitter was the herpes of the arts and crafts world? Not sure if some would see it as smart, maybe more smart ass. My 7-year-old daughter and I were discussing blonde jokes and she brought up Barbie. I was saying how smart Barbie must be to have had so many important jobs like a veterinarian, pilot, doctor, etc. She said, "Oh, really dumb to keep getting fired from all those jobs. Barbie is an escort. She dresses up for her clients. She dresses up for her clients." Well, she literally does. My daughter loves asking a ton of random questions 24/7, especially while I try and relax. So when I said, "Why do you ask so many questions?" 7 years, the more questions I ask the more I learn. I now answer every single question she has, and if I don't know the answer then we look it up together. Kids have 2 types of questions. 1. I'm genuinely curious, and 2. I'm stalling. The first should be indulged as much as humanly possible. The second needs to be nipped in the bud, because otherwise you're never getting out of the house. The real trick is to learn the difference between M and 3. I find annoying you fun. When my daughter was about 18 months old, in a time we would say a number, her answer was always 7. We were at her pediatrician's office and she asked if we were counting with her and stuff. I said yeah, she is learning basic math. I looked at my daughter and said, "What is the square root of 49? And when she said 7, the doctor about hit. "Sweetie, what's the smallest double Mersenne prime?" 7. At 4. When told she had to go to bed. But I didn't, because I'm a grown up. Mommy. I wish I was a grown up. But when I'm a grown up, I will wish I was a little girl. At 5. She told a friend she wanted to be a baby heart or brain doctor. He replied that some of those babies die. She looked at him, and with absolute seriousness, "If I don't help them, they'll all die." The second quote is legit badass. I could see that line being said by any number of cool doctors on TV. That's an Arizona quote right there. I took the family to a drive-through wildlife park. We stopped to look at some elk and their newborns. The guy in the car behind us got out to photograph them up close. Well, he was within a few feet of them when a female elk stood up and stared at him, then started walking towards him. We watched in amazement as this guy continued to take pictures while this huge animal was sizing this guy up. From the backseat of my car, my 4-year-old son yells, "Get back in the car, old man." Finally the man looks up and decides then is a good time to retreat. My wife and I were dying laughing. My son was stung by a wasp on a hike last summer. He's 8. As we were leaving, we passed a car that was turning in for the same trail we were leaving. He yelled, "Don't go. It's not worth it." I love how open and honest kids can be. I had just picked up some flowers to place at my mother's grave. I asked my 5-year-old if he wanted to come with me to place the flowers at grandma's grave. He said, "No. It will cost me too many tears." That's so sweet. It reminds me of the time I was riding around town with my 3-year-old son who kept asking to go to a McDonald's that I couldn't see anywhere. "Son, it's over there." "Mama." "Me, where?" "I can't see it." "Son, right behind the rock festival." Me, rock festive. Oh. You mean the cemetery? I'm not sure I'd call it a festival. But it must be pretty good if people are dying to get in. I was showing my 6-year-old daughter the International Space Station going over. She asked, "How can it be a station if it's moving?" She's got a point. She deserves more points than just one. Come on. Don't worry, mom. Every expert started out as a beginner. 6-year-old son, when he heard me complain how I did terrible with a workout. Sucking at something is the first step towards being sorta good at something. Adventure Time is wise beyond its years. Police officers were directing traffic. And my 7-year-old stepson says look at the cops. I wanted to teach him that a police officer should be addressed as officer. You know. As a sign of respect and, more importantly, to avoid escalations. So, I asked him, "What do you say when a police officer talks to you?" He replied, "Nothing. Anything I say can be used against me." I was proud. See how long that lasts if they offer him candy. Yes, daddy came home that night covered in mud with a shovel and mommy didn't arrive with him. Now if you upgrade to a king-size Kit Kat I might remember where they were heading to. My wife decided to ask my then 4-year-old son what size his shoes were. I'm not sure why she decided to ask him that. Because why would he know? He was 4 years old. Either way, I thought his answer was pretty smart. They are the same size as my feet. My sister said something similar when she was about that age. She had her right shoe on her left foot. Left shoe on her right. My dad tells her you have your shoes on the wrong feet, to which she looked confused and replied, "Well, they are the only feet I've got." My 2-year-old and I are watching a plane fly overhead. I say, "I wonder where that plane is going." The 2-year-old, too, responds, "To an airport. /r/unexpected factorial. Wait. 2 equals 2. I guess it works. I'm totally going to do that from now on. I just baked 2 dozen 4 chocolate chip cookies. I was enjoying lunch with the family when their 6-year-old daughter offered me a cookie. I politely declined. And she asked me why. I explained that cookies make me sick because my stomach doesn't work right. Biopsy confirmed celiac disease. She tilted her head thoughtfully for a minute before proclaiming, "That is a tragedy." That moment when you need to use biopsy confirmed celiac disease rather than gluten intolerance because of the disproportional controversy around the term. It's so bad that I recently experienced not being able to convince a gastroenterologist that I had a real medical condition without putting my medical chart in his face. Every other patient comes in there and tells him they have celiac disease. I love being able to buy gluten-free food without ordering it 2 weeks in advance from the only mom and pop store in the country that sells it. Though. I teach pre-K and I have this little 4-year-old boy named Lamont, name change, that I'm convinced is going to be some sort of marriage counselor. This other boy comes up to me and screams Lamont kissed me. So I go ask Lamont why he kissed a classmate. Lamont looks at me, completely sincere, and says I just want him to know that I love him and care. Lamont does this stuff all the time. I'm his favorite teacher. And he usually comes to sit on me during our joint recess. The other day, he holds my hand, looks me in the eye, and says, "Miss Vakarian, I love you and want you to be my teacher forever," and got all teary-eyed when I had to go. Lamont's parents have a very loving relationship and it's pretty obvious where he gets it from. Maybe not the smartest, but definitely will grow up to have good people in his life. This is the cutest and most innocent thing I have ever read. Either that, or he is an evil mastermind and knows exactly what he is doing. My father died last year after an incredibly brief illness. I flew out to him to spend his last 9 days in hospital. And when I called home and told my family that grandpa wouldn't be getting out of the hospital, my 6-year-old said grandpa is younger than papa, her paternal great-grandfather. I said yes he is. He is quite young. There was a pause, and then she said I think that doesn't matter. Ask grandpa if he's lived his life. That is the important part. I think that doesn't matter. Ask grandpa if he's lived his life. That is the important part. Just this one line can be the basis of a film. Shark Tornado was the basis of a film. After a parent finished spanking their child, the parent asked, "Now are you going to do it again?" The kid responded with, "Yes, the pain will go away and I will do it again." You can't spank the funny out of pushing Lance over or breaking his Lego houses. That sounds like a challenge. Sounds like a great example of spanking creating oppositional problems. My friends had 2 daughters, 5 and 3, roughly. The 3-year-old came out of the playroom crying. Mom asked if the older daughter had hit her, and she nodded while bawling. Mom stormed into the playroom asking/yelling if she hit the younger daughter. She said no, and Mom proceeded to start spanking her, all the while proclaiming, "We do not hit people." Afterwards she turned around to pay attention to the younger daughter, right about the time that the younger one was trying to say that the older one didn't hit her. The older daughter had made her way behind Mom and was now winding up to start spanking Mom. As she did, she started yelling, "We do not hit people." It was hilarious to me. Perfectly brilliant. I'll never understand the logic behind hitting as a punishment for hitting. My sister used to bite the duck out of people when she was 5. She would snarl and clamp down so hard it either broke skin or teeth, whichever gave first. One day she bit my nose. And I mean that hit hurt like no other pain I had experienced in my 8 years. Mom immediately picked up my sister and bit her on the nose. Snarling. My sister never bit anyone again. Up to that point she'd only observed the end result of biting someone. She honestly didn't know that it ducking hurt. At least not as well as she did after having experienced it. She got hit for hitting. And it taught her empathy. I don't want to see you picking your nose again. Don't look then. When my brother was little he liked to eat butter. Just straight off the butter dish. My grandma was babysitting. Saw him doing it from the other room and said, "I can see you eating butter." To which he replied, "Take off your glasses, Grandma." I overheard a child say, "I'm 8 years old and 4 feet tall. Maybe that means I'll grow half a foot per year." Big. If true. That child knows about linear extrapolation. Well, I just realized how fast kids grow. The time I was in Scotland in a pub, a child about 9 years old came up to me and said, "Do not travel upon the moors at night." That kid sounds like an NPC from an Elder Scrolls game or something. Couldn't be Elder Scrolls. I didn't feel like killing the child from how condescending what he said was. When my niece was 9, some punker's kid wrote her name on the bathroom stall calling her stupid. She was heartbroken. Very kind, sweet, sensitive kid. She came home from school crying. We talked about it. And the next day she told me, "I feel kind of bad for so and so getting in trouble. She has no friends." And I think she was jealous because I have really good friends. Was a deep thought for a 9-year-old, I thought. My son was being bullied by another kid in middle school. It had gone on for a while. He finally told the kid to stop and said, "I'm a black belt." That helped for a bit. He really is. Kid started up again, so my son reported it. The counselor asked why it took so long to report it. Well, his dad and his brother are both pretty much jerks. I know he's got a very difficult home life. The counselor called and was gushing over how a 12-year-old had this much empathy. Edit. Typo. Thanks/you/just a beaver. Maybe unrelated. But it never ceases to amaze me just how easy it is to hit black belt level in taekwondo, karate, etc. Like, whatever happened to it being a prestigious, difficult to achieve symbol of mastery? My 13-year-old brother just picked one up in taekwondo, and he can't even get out of a simple headlock equals D. When my daughter was 3, I came into lounge after making a cup of tea to the sight of her emptying out all her toys from their boxes. I asked, "Why are you making a mess?" 3 years old, "I'm looking for something." Me, "What are you looking for?" 3 years old looks me dead in the eye and replies, "Attention. You've got your hands full with that one."